All right, welcome everybody to Hump Day Hangouts. It is the 27th of July, 2022. Sadly, this is the last Hump Day Hangouts of July, but there's more after that. So we just passed episode 400 and we got more coming for you. Gonna say hello to the guys real quick before we jump into the questions. We also got a couple of good announcements that we want to cover. So first things first, on my screen, I'll start up top here and see Chris. How are you doing today?
I don't know, man. Like one meeting after another, things are literally rolling. You like can't complain, and I'm super excited, man. Like,
well, this is a fun
been
meeting,
better.
Right? Like this is a little bit more relaxed than your normal meeting, right?
Yeah, this is actually the best meeting of the day. Like, even it's in the evening and it's late already. Like, that's literally the highlight to look forward to, like all day. And yeah, and enjoy a good time with you guys here.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Well, yeah, things are going well here. I know it's been hot in Austria where you're at, and I think we're cranking up there too. It's hot in Seattle. I think it's hot everywhere. I don't. Bradley, is it hot in Virginia?
Yeah, it has been. I mean, it's August, so well, almost August. So this is the hottest month of the year. So definitely, but actually, it's been a very mild summer. So I guess we're due. We're due for some heat.
Fair enough. Well, how are you doing today?
Busy as all hell, but I think tomorrow I'll have the video email SOP done, which is the 7th of the SOPs for the directory stuff. So I'm almost a week behind. I wanted to have it done last Friday, but it did not get done. So I'm almost done with that though. And then I got to go back and start adding some additional training to some of the other SOPs. It's been an enormous amount of work, but boy, I'm glad that I'm close. Like I'm near the end, man. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. So.
There we go.
But I'm glad to be here.
We're all looking forward to episode 420.
Yeah, I guess episode 420 is coming up before episode 500. But also wanted to say too, what Bradley's talking about, if you're not familiar, this is a lot of the SOPs and the training he's been building out in the mastermind. Obviously, he's built it out himself, and this is based on everything he's been doing, but it is shared with mastermind members, along with all the other stuff you've been doing, right, Bradley?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's everybody wants more SOPs. So that's what I do. That's my life, is building SOPs.
So they don't have to. No, yeah. I mean, as everyone knows, right, a lot of this stuff can be taken. You can use it, build your own stuff, but like any good SOP, you generally want to import it and then customize it for yourself. But this takes care of, 80-90% of the work. So.
Yeah. And that's why nobody does them, because it's so much damn work. It's ridiculous. It's super time intensive to build SOPs. But it's one of those like catch-22s, right? Like nobody wants to take the time. I don't enjoy building SOPs, guys. I just build them because they're so freaking valuable, right? Like that's how you recover time. That's how you get time back, and that's how you duplicate yourself and delegate the tasks that you would execute or complete is through SOPs. And so I talk about this often, but whenever, especially like recurring tasks or repetitive tasks, those are things that if you do them, you know that you're going to have to continually do them, right? So you know that it's going to take time, even if it's a small task or large task, doesn't matter. Like client reporting is just an example. Every month you got to go through that again. So you know that if it takes 4 hours to generate content or client reports for all of your clients, then that's 4 hours every month that you got to do it, or however often you report. Let's say it's monthly. That's 4 hours every month that you have to invest your time in. And so developing an SOP for how to generate client reports might take 8 hours. It may be. I mean, who knows? Whatever. Let's say it takes 8 hours to generate the SOP. That's 8 hours that you have to take away from other work to be able to develop that SOP. And so that's why most people don't do it, because they say that everybody's always putting out fires, right? They're always playing whack-a-mole with their business, right? They're always trying to. And I know I'm the same way. Like, things come up and you've got things that have to be addressed. You've got clients that are breathing down your neck. You've got a website that went down or something. There's all kinds of stuff that it comes up. And so it's difficult to take that time away to build an SOP. But the thing is so when it comes time to do client reporting and you're already super busy and you're like, shit, I got to do these client reports. Well, and I've been wanting to do an SOP, but I don't have time right now. So I'm just going to do the client reports again this month. I'll do the SOPs later. And then next month comes around and guess what? I don't have the time to do the SOPs right now. So I'm just going to do the client reports right now and I'll do them later. And later never comes. And so the point that I'm trying to make is that if you devote the time to building the SOPs, then now you've got 4 hours back of, might take an 8-hour investment. And that's just an example, but it might take an 8-hour investment to develop the SOPs. But in 2 months' time, you will have recovered that. And in every month thereafter, now you've basically gained 4 hours of time, productive time, that you can devote to other higher level things. And generating client reports, and that's just an example, but generating client reports is something that a VA can do for $5-6 an hour, right? It's not something that you have to be doing. And so that's my point. And so when it comes to building SOPs, that's why most people don't do them, number one, but there's also kind of a process. There's a process for building processes, right? And so that's kind of what I do is oftentimes like I do budget 2 or 3 hours a day to work on SOPs because I'm always building them, whether it's for mastermind members or for my own business or businesses, for my team members and things like that. But when it comes to like, if I don't have enough time to build an entire SOP for a particular task, but it's a task that I'm going to be repeating, so it's a repetitive task, then I'll do it in stages. Like today, I might say, okay, look, I've got this task that has to be executed today, but I can only squeeze 30 minutes in additional besides the time that required to execute the task. I can only squeeze in an additional 30 minutes to work on building an SOP. So for the first iteration of it, I might just create like an outline of the high level steps that it requires to complete that task. And that's it. So that might only take me 10 minutes, right? To just complete like an outline, like it would be for like an article outline, right? It would be like the high level steps, the main points, the main kind of components of the activities required to complete the task. Then the next time that I go to do that task, I'll say, okay, maybe I'll devote another 30 minutes. And so I'll start executing the task. I'll open up that outline essentially, and then I'll put a little bit of detail underneath each point in the outline. Like, so just a little bit more specific detail about what to do for that heading in that outline, right? And then the next time I'll do it again, and maybe after 4 or 5 times, maybe after 3 times, I'll have the full SOP completed. And it really didn't add a whole lot of, like, I didn't have to take a half a day or a day to devote to it. I just do it in stages, a little bit at a time. Now, for mastermind members and for pressing matters and things like that, I'll do, I'll devote 4 hours or 6 hours in a day to doing SOPs. But I understand why most people don't do them. It's not fun. I don't enjoy doing SOPs. I just do them because they're so freaking valuable. And that's how I've been able to grow my business so much, especially in this past year. And in providing those SOPs to mastermind members, and that's part of the reason I get requests all the time. Like, well, do you have an SOP for this? Or can you create an SOP for this? Can you? And so like, that's my life. It's developing SOP.
Can you do my SOPs as well, Bradley?
Yeah, I was like, so come get your business built for you by Bradley at Semantic Mastery Mastermind. Just kidding. No, but that stuff is powerful. And, we have heard that a lot over the time from people in the mastermind or outside of the mastermind. And that was part of the push to do this was, to add some more, not just value, but to help people, because this is time consuming. It is tough and it has big results. So as on a serious note, if that's stuff you want to get access to and you want to join the mastermind, go check it out, mastermind.semanticmastery.com. I do want to say something real quick. Brian on the YouTube channel might have a new song we need to put on, or we need to make our own song. He said, you down with SOPs? Yeah, you know me. Very nice.
Yeah, you know me. You down with SOP?
God. Let's see.
Naughty by nature. Some of the younger folks won't know what the hell we're talking about, but naughty by nature. Yeah.
And we will not be singing the other one. So, all right, let's see. A couple of quick announcements. I've got Pofu Live. We just announced, or we're going to be announcing more of the speakers. If you have not attended Pofu Live before, highly encourage you to join. This year, again, it is virtual. We are going to have a VIP event hangout on Friday, and then we're going to go long on Saturday and fit it all into one day. If you want to find out more about that, go to pofulive.com. We got a great lineup of speakers so far. We're adding more as we go. Really looking forward to that. It's always a lot of fun, great feedback. And honestly, the last few years have been great. It's been a bummer that we can't meet up in person, but it has been fun to do it online. Great presentations by ourselves as well as guest speakers. Hopefully you will join us there and consider joining us for the VIP event. It's a small add-on cost, and that just goes to cover the cost of it. We're going to be doing a guided beer tour virtually, but we will be curating and having shipped directly to you if you're in the United States. some beers, and then we'll have a guided beer tour, and then we'll have a hangout session after that. So kind of fun to get to know the speakers, get to know each other, have some fun, kick back a little bit before we really get into things on Saturday. Let's see, last thing I wanted to say was we're really close to being able to talk some more about something big coming out. We're going to be having a webinar, kind of informational as well as Q&A and showing some results on the 8th of August. And so starting next week, be sending out some information about that. Make sure you get signed up. If you do anything with Google business profiles, this is going to be something for you. So if that's you, keep your eyes and ears open, and we'll be sending you some more information about that. Cool. So guys, that's it on my end. Anything else we need to touch base on? Nope.
I don't think so.
All right. Question time. Let's do it.
Yeah, we got quite a few questions. Well, I did have one thing. I had my call with one of the winners from the 400th episode. Yeah. I had my call with Ina. It's INNA, but I had to ask her like how to pronounce it because I was, you know, my ignorant American ass was like, is it Ina? And she's like, it's Ina. Anyway, had a great call with her. I believe it was yesterday. So we had about a 40-minute call, which was really cool. And that was just because she was a winner of one of the 2 30-minute consultations I gave away as part of the 400th episode and, you know, 400th anniversary episode or whatever you want to call it. It's not really an anniversary. That would be episode 416, I think. But anyway, 400th was a pretty good milestone. And so I had a great call with her. She said she's going to join the mastermind. I haven't seen her come through yet, but it was really good. And I think, you know, just having those kind of calls is why I enjoy that. That's like I do a 30-minute onboarding call with any new mastermind members. And that's oftentimes a really good time to start to build a relationship with our members and find out what's pressing in their business, like, you know, issues that they're having, which again, great call with Ina about that. And there's some commonalities that I hear often from new members that come in. And that's part of the reason I, you know, build SOPs the way that I do, because that's one of the biggest things that I hear. Some of the things that I hear the most from new members coming in are being able to scale, the ability to scale, which that's what SOPs are precisely for, is helping to scale so that you can delegate and duplicate, right? And also getting clients, and then also client getting is one of the biggest things that we hear often. So, you know, that's part of the reason why I've been building things like the directory authority prospect or positioning, directory authority positioning model. It's because that's a very successful way to prospect and sell, you know, to initiate a conversation with your target prospects, but also the SOPs to help with scaling and things like that. So anyway, if anybody, you know, that I get 30 minutes with you, or you get 30 minutes with me, I should say, whenever you join, and access to all those SOPs and everything else. So sometimes that's all that is required, is a little kind of consultation to get a kick in the ass and at least given some direction in what to do next. Right. And I enjoy those very much. So come join and you get a call with me as well. So, all right, guys, I'm going to grab a screen and we'll get right into it. Got quite a few questions. I do not have, I started preparing so the kind of slides that I had been going through before today. And then I had one of my tree contractors beating on my door to pay me some money.
Oh, no.
Or for some tree leads. And then I ended up talking with him for a few minutes. So I didn't get my presentation done today. And I apologize for that, but I wasn't going to turn the guy away. He was trying to hand me cash. So that took precedent. So maybe next time.
More money.
Yeah, it's nice when you have your lead buyers show up at your house with cash in hand. That's always a good feeling. You know, I love that part of the business. That's why I like that part of the business way better than client retainer work, but I'll take that too. But I do prefer the lead gen side of things still. Anyway. All right. So first question is, hey guys, as a small agency, I find it hard to get paid on time for client work and spend lots of time chasing payments. Well, that's why you should set it up on recurring with Stripe or PayPal. I mean, most of my agency clients are still on PayPal subscriptions, but then you don't have to chase them. Like I don't do invoicing. If I had to, like, I flat out won't invoice clients. If they cannot subscribe via PayPal or Stripe, then I won't work with them. And I tell them that right up front. I'm sorry, we're going to get on a subscription payment or I can't work with you. And that's my policy, because I've been where you are, where, you know, the client wanted to be invoiced on a monthly basis, and then the payments always come in slowly, right? And you got to call them and send emails, and that takes time. Now you're reducing your productivity to chase payments that are owed to you. That's bullshit. So I would fire that client or those clients, or tell them flat out, like, hey, I'm changing my policy. I get there. So he says, thinking of setting up an SPP store. Yeah, that works. And that's through Stripe. And Stripe takes such a nominal amount, so much less than PayPal does. Like I said, most of my agency clients are still on PayPal subscriptions. All of my productized link building clients are on, well, not all of them. I offer PayPal subscriptions as also an option, but I'd say 90, I think I've only got a couple of PayPal subscriptions through my link building business. Everybody else is on Stripe. And that's just the way I do it. He says, thinking of setting up an SPP store for my service packages like citation packs, audits, etc. What is the best way to boost client adoption? As I worry a lot won't use the facility that's there due to PayPal or Stripe fees. No, because they don't pay that, you do. So there's no reason for you not to push them on there. They pay whatever you're charging for your fees. Then you get, like, the money that comes to you is minus or less the PayPal fees or the Stripe fees. That doesn't, it's not extra that gets charged to the client. You charge the client whatever you want. So if you charge $100 and they take 3%, you're going to get $97. The client still pays the $100. So you pay the fee, not the client. So, but in my opinion, it's totally worth it. Think about the time that it takes you to chase down payments of money that's already owed to you. And what is your time worth? To me, like, I don't mind paying the exorbitant PayPal fees if I know I'm getting paid and I don't have to chase the client down to get paid. Like, to me, that is worth the fee, in my opinion. I'd still rather do it on Stripe. There's no question, because it's lesser fee. But again, I'm willing to pay the PayPal fee too, so that I don't have to chase down clients. And I know that the payments are going to come through when they're supposed to, and I don't have to spend my time sending emails or calls or whatever to the client trying to collect the money that's already owed to me. If that makes sense. So in my opinion, it's a small fee that's worth paying to make sure that the money's coming in, and and I don't have to spend my time chasing down clients for the money that they owe me. Right. And again, I will not invoice people, period. If they say that they want me to invoice them, I tell them, I'm sorry, we cannot work together. That simple. So I would encourage you to do the same thing, guys. You should not be having to chase down clients for money. It's ridiculous. Now, my tree guys, a lot of my, like I said, I just had tree. I mean, it's awesome when not all of them do this, but some of them will bring money to me, which is fabulous. They bring it right to my damn doorstep. You know what I mean? Like today, it was great. And in fact, I was guest hosting a webinar with Michael Bose's group, the platinum group, his platinum mastermind group yesterday. It went 3.5 hours long. The webinar, it was crazy. But the same tree guy was beating on my door yesterday. Some of you that are in Michael's group might remember this, because yesterday I was like, I just took over like as a guest presenter, and it was like 5 minutes into the webinar, and I was like, damn it, somebody's beating on my door. Well, they didn't have an appointment. Screw them out. I was in the middle of a webinar. I couldn't get up and go. What was that guy? It was the tree guy that came today. And that was funny, because when he beat on my door again today, and I was like, was that you yesterday? He was like, yeah, I was trying to pay you. Like, well, sorry, dude, I was in a webinar. So anyway, that's my preferred method, is have somebody hand deliver cash, but that's not normal. So anyways, next question. Wanting to scale up link building for my own sites and SEO clients. Till now, I've just been doing small scale link packages like press releases, citations, etc. Would you recommend training a VA in-house with something like Mailshake, or just use a company like Authority Builders for all outreach? Well, I would say, train somebody in-house if you're going to do outreach, but there's just so many issues with that, like Authority Builders. And I've talked about this a lot, but I've spent a lot of money on guest posts and link insertions, or niche edits is another term for that, from sites like Authority Builders or Get Me Links or One Little Web, a few different sort providers like that, and then another one. And what I found is that's precisely why I built the method that I use for semantic links, was because the cost associated with buying guest posts or niche edits or link insertions from these types of companies, link providers, is very expensive, because they sell you on traditional metrics, what I call authority metrics, which would be like Moz, DA, and PA and DA. So Moz metrics, page authority, domain authority, or Ahrefs, UR and DR, so URL rating and domain rating metrics, and traffic metrics. That's what they sell you on. So the higher the metrics, whether it's Moz or Ahref metrics or traffic metrics, the higher the cost. And sometimes it's a combination of metrics that they'll sell you. But the higher the metrics, the higher the cost. And yet the topical relevance isn't generally going to be there. It will be at a page level, but at the domain level, it's generally not. So you always remember, guys, whenever you're getting links, there's page level relevance, there's page level metrics as far as what we just talked about, like Moz metrics, which would be page authority. Then there's domain metrics, which is domain authority, or likewise with Ahrefs, there's UR, which is URL rating. That's page level metrics. And then domain rating, that's domain metrics. Well, the same thing occurs with topical relevance, right? There's relevance factor or relevance score of the page, which is generally going to be relevant. Like whenever you buy a guest post or a niche edit, well, not always with a niche edit. If you're buying from a high quality source like Authority Builders or something like that, then generally the page topic, the page relevance is going to be very relevant. If you buy niche edits or link insertions from a lower quality source, then oftentimes they're going to place your link into an article that has an occurrence of your specific keyword that you wanted to use as an anchor text, but the page itself may not be relevant at all. It just happened to have that specific keyword in the page. That's a link that's basically worthless, because if it's coming from a page that is completely in an unrelated topic or something that's not, closely related, then that link is basically worthless. And that's why I'm saying, like, even with guest posts, you have a bit more control over it, especially from higher quality link providers, because with guest posts, you can, first of all, the article is going to be new and drafted for your link. So it's going to be on topic, and you can also request to have whatever keyword you want as the anchor text for that link inserted into the title. You can request to make sure that the keyword is in the title, which makes that link more relevant, right? The relevant score for that link is higher if the keyword that's used in the anchor text for that link is included in the title. So that's how you kind of, at a page level relevance score, there's a couple of factors, but you can increase that relevance score if the keyword that's used as the anchor text is also in the title of that article. Does that make sense? So that's page level topical relevance. But then there's domain relevance, right? What is the overall topical category, the most prominent or primary topical category of that domain itself? And if it's not related or relevant, or at least closely related, then you're only getting about half of the relevance kind of factor that you would get, that you could get. You see what I'm saying? Because there's page level relevance, just like there is page level metrics, then there's domain metrics or domain relevance. Okay. So, and just as an example, I've talked about this before, but this is, sorry, where is it? On page. Onpage.ai is Eric Lancheraz's tool. Okay, it's a great tool. It's expensive, but it's a very good tool. And he's got built into this, which is kind of where I really discovered this through testing, but then also right before he launched this initially, because I got in on this when he did his kind of like beta tester launch for this tool, and then it's again super expensive. Well, I think it's rather expensive, but it's a great tool. Anyway, before he had launched this, he was talking it up, like pre-launching, right? He was building buzz about this tool before he launched it. And I'm on his list. I've been following Eric Lancheras for 10 years or eight or 9 years, since back in the Panda recovery days. Some of you guys that have been around for a long time know who Eric Lancheras is. But he's been around for a long time. A highly respected dude. He's a great SEO. So I've been following him for many, many years. And so anyways, this is a great tool. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because he has what's called predictive guest posts. So it's a way to use Google's NLP. Like here it is in it, part of it, right? This is just let's see if I can open that image in a new tab and zoom in on it a little bit. Let me see if I can do that. Yeah. Okay. So this gives you an example of what I'm talking about, guys. There's page relevance score and domain relevance score. So if you're getting a link from a source that the page is topically relevant, which is pretty much, that's like standard operating procedure. When you get, especially if you're paying for a high quality link, and I'm using air quotes, right? Then generally the page is going to always be relevant. At least it should be. So that's easy to do though. You can publish a page on pretty much any website, no matter what the website's about. You can publish a page on that site and make the page relevant to its intended target. So that's easy to do. But the domain relevance, that's where, you know, that's half of kind of like the relevance factor or relevance score. And generally that's not going to be relevant. Like a lot and this is from my own experience, which is precisely why I developed the kind of semantic links method, which is going after in domains that are topically relevant, not just page level. And then I purchase those domains and then build the pages that are topically relevant, but the domain was already relevant, right? It was either in with the same topical trust flow category, which is a majestic metric, which again, Google doesn't care about majestic metrics either, just so you guys know, but it's the only tool that gives a measure of topical relevance, right? It's a topical relevance scoring system called topical trust flow. And it's by no means perfect, but it's a fairly good indicator of what the topical relevance is of external links. Does that make sense? So what we do is we go out and hunt down domains that are already in the appropriate topical trust flow category that we need for our target, whatever that is, right? And then we look at the domains that we've identified that have that appropriate topical trust flow category, and we look to see what was the history of it, what was the former content. And it doesn't have to be an exact match, but as far as what the former content was, it doesn't have to be exactly the same type of content, as long as it's closely related, right? In a related category. So for example, I could get like an old, you know, a domain that has business, construction, and maintenance as the topical trust flow category that might have been a plumber's site or a flooring company's site previously, right? And then, but I end up repurposing that to be used as a site for a roofer. Does that make sense? Or to build a link for, so basically I would place an article, I would buy that domain and we would generate an article that's optimized for roofing service or roof replacement or roof repair. And then we would publish that article on this domain that has business, construction, and maintenance as the topical trust flow category. And it was in the home services, home, you know, improvement industry anyways. Does that make sense? So that's relevant. And so that's what I'm talking about when with purchasing guest posts, you're going to be able to always, from higher quality providers, you're going to, the page relevance is going to be spot on. It should be. Right? It should be spot on because you have some control over the content as the title too. So whatever your anchor text is that you choose for your link, you want to work that into the title of that post or article because that makes that link relevance score higher. The link becomes more relevant that way. But that's only half of it because the other half is the domain relevance. And most of the time on these guest posts that they sell you on these metrics, and you get, which are traditional metrics, have nothing to do with topical relevance. And so you pay, the higher the metrics, the more you pay. But what happens is a lot of, and again, I was spending thousands of dollars per month on links last year from sources like what you mentioned. And I was finding that they were not producing the kind of effect that they should for the kind of money that I was spending. And that's when I started kind of researching and analyzing, like, why am I not getting results from these links that I'm paying anywhere between $150 to $400 per link? Right? For guest posts or niche edits. And again, niche edits, if, as I mentioned before, with the niche edit or link insertions, another term for that, they're interchangeable. It means the same damn thing. That means getting a link inserted into a page or post that already has been published. And it's aged. Typically it's aged because it's been published. It's been indexed. It may have some internal links pointing to it from whatever site it's published on. So it means that it probably has some sort of, it's not a brand new post like a guest post would be, right? So sometimes there's some kind of benefit to having a seasoned or an aged post and inserting your link in there. From a higher quality link insertion or niche edit provider, they're generally going to find a very relevant article to insert your link in. But from a lower quality niche edit, and trust me, because I've used a lot of them, I've tested a whole bunch of different link providers. That's why I decided to build my own link building business, to develop my own link building service, because I couldn't find anybody that would provide 100% topically relevant links, both at the page level and the domain level. Does that make sense? And that's, so, but with lower quality niche edits, a lot of times you end up getting a link insertion where the keyword occurred in the content, but the page is not relevant at all, right? So that's a worthless link and you just pissed your money away. And then the other thing about lower quality or less expensive, cheaper niche edits is they oftentimes will use the same article for 18 other link insertions. And so the article is just peppered with links that go outbound links to other, and so it's just ridiculous. And sometimes the same key phrase is used for 2 different outbound links, which means you're basically destroying the value of that link. And those links aren't valuable anyways, because a lot of times it's not relevant. And even if it is relevant, again, it's been hacked with a bunch of different links and all that kind of shit. So don't use cheap providers, number one. Number two, if you're going to use higher, kind of more expensive providers, like you mentioned, Authority Builders is one of them. It's really important that if you're going to spend that kind of money on links that you demand that you not only get page level relevance, but you get domain level relevance, or at least closely related categories, something that would logically be related, if that makes sense. Because otherwise you end up with a link that is not producing the kind of effect that it should. Which again, that's why I go back to what I said was I started to develop my semantic links method, which is just going out and hunting down domains that are already at the domain level. They're topically relevant to what their intended target is going to be. And we purchase those domains for 10 to 15 bucks, right? They're not on auction. We're talking about expired domains that are available to register now, right? And so I'll go purchase those domains for 10 to 15 bucks. And then we publish an article and we host them on an HTML site. That it's just a single page HTML site that then we host on cloud hosting. My cost, and I'll be 100% transparent about this, my overall cost for all the tools that I use to find the domains, the labor, the different services, on-page AI is one of them that I use for testing topical relevance and things like that. But all the different tools, my labor costs, everything else that I use, it costs me about $62. And that includes the cost of domain registration per rebuild. And that's what I call them, rebuilds, because they're reclaimed domains. I'm not rebuilding the old content, but I'm finding domains that have been used previously and picking them up, and we build brand new content optimized for whatever its intended target is. But I call them rebuilds anyways, because when I first started this link building business, we were actually rebuilding the old sites. We download the archive.org Wayback Machine records for that domain, and then we modernize the code, because oftentimes the code is bloated with a bunch of archive.org like junk, as well as a lot of times those archive.org records look like 1995 built websites, like seriously. So when I first started this business, we would actually download the archive.org records, and then I had an HTML builder who still works for me today that would modernize the code, bring it up to like HTML5 standards and all that. And we would republish the domains. That's why I call them rebuilds. But we stopped doing that because we found that wasn't necessary. We can publish brand new content on those domains that is optimized specifically with brand new HTML templates too. And they still index just fine. I've got no issues with that whatsoever. So I still call them rebuilds, but they're not actually rebuilds because it's brand new content, but they're reclaimed domains. Does that make sense? So we do it at a page level and domain level relevance. Like the relevance is there at both parts, right? Both components, which is, so what I'm saying is the cost of let's say $15 to register the domain, plus whatever you pay for hosting, plus your time to generate the article, or to hire out whoever you hire out to produce your content, whatever. You wrap all that up and it still ends up being a fraction of what it costs to pay for one of these high dollar guest posts or one of these high dollar niche edits. So like I said, my hard costs are about $62 per rebuild right now. And that's with all of my labor and everything else included. But I get a better result from one of my rebuild sites, one of my domains that we purchase and rebuild, right? So my cost is $62 and it produces a better effect than a $300 guest post does in most cases. So in my opinion, like, it's a no-brainer. I can build 5 rebuilds for the same cost as it would take for one high dollar guest post. And I can manipulate traffic metrics, right? I can do that all day long with CTR manipulation tools. So there's no reason why I should pay $300 for a guest post on traffic metrics. And I don't give a damn about URDR metrics or PADA metrics at all anymore. What I care about is topical relevance, period. If I can get those other metrics and topical relevance, then I'll take them. Like, don't get me wrong. It's not like, well, that's got high DR. I don't want that link. No, it's not that at all. I just don't care. I don't look at those. But if I happen to find topically relevant links that also have those metrics, then hell yeah, I'll take it. But those aren't the metrics that I care about. I care about relevance. And again, this is kind of where this idea came from, was Eric. And like I said, when I heard him talking about this, I was right in the middle of trying different link providers, and I was using the high dollar guest post servicing services and stuff like that. And I was getting diminishing, like the results weren't there for the kind of money I was spending. And so I was in the process of like researching and analyzing a bunch of different data points and testing different link providers and different types of links and everything else, trying to figure out what would work. When Eric came out with on-page AI, and it was before he'd actually launched it, he was kind of like building it up. And he was talking about page level and domain level relevance scores or factors. And it clicked with me instantly. I was like, that's the missing component, is the domain relevance factor. And so it instantly, like even before the tool was out, I was like, okay, well, I know how I can go start finding these. I knew the Majestic uses topical trust flow, which is a measure of topical relevance. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to start using Majestic to do all my analysis. And I started testing. And then shortly thereafter, I got access to this as a beta, when he first launched it under beta. And I started using it. And sure enough, when you can get a link from a source that has both page level match and domain relevance match, it is a much more effective link. And oftentimes you can get those for a hell of a lot cheaper, right? And it's a better link, produces a better effect. I don't know. So hopefully that makes sense. So to get back to what you're saying, if you're going to do it, if you want to do outreach, then, do it in-house, but make sure that you're only requesting links or trying to, to get links placed on sites that are both relevant at a page level and at a domain level. And that's why doing it in-house is better, in my opinion. In other words, having an outreach VA or team or whatever that's working, because then you can be very specific. Now, some of the high dollar link providers will do that too, but you pay for that, right? You might pay $500-600 per link that way, where you could do that in-house for a hell of a lot cheaper, but you got to go through the process of training people and all that other stuff. But all I'm saying, guys, is start paying attention to this. A lot of you guys probably use Ahrefs. That's what most of the SEO industry uses, but there's no measure of topical relevance there. I'm not saying don't use that tool, but I'm saying you might want to start also, because I don't use it at all. I don't care. Like I said, I use Majestic as purely, that's all I use for my external link analysis tool, because it measures topical relevance. And that's what matters to me. And I've proven through my own testing that it works way better when I have highly relevant link sources. Okay. So that's what I would suggest. Do it in-house unless you got a budget to pay for these higher dollar link providers to make sure that you're only getting links that are relevant at both the page level and the domain level. Next question. Howdy, SM. I have a small group of blogs in the same category. What's the simplest cost-effective way to keep powering these up each month with link building? Well, I don't know, because again, I just talked about, guys, I don't build links unless they're topically relevant anymore at all. I don't build links for the sake of building links. So, I talk about I would go through what I just talked about, which was, start learning how to hunt down your own domains and build them out that way. What I like about the HTML sites is they're not like WordPress, they're not blogs, so they don't need constant updating like WordPress does. They are very small files, so they don't need you don't have to have databases and all that kind of stuff. So, I teach the exact same method that I use for my link building in the mastermind. I would encourage you to do that. Because the other thing, there's a couple things that I use for, like, I have been building a PBN network essentially, but it's 100% based on topical relevance, not traditional metrics. So I have like these keyword clustered sites that are all entire sites built around one keyword. And I've got a bunch of them. I just started building another 10 of them in the last 24 hours. And those are great because those you can use to power up primary tier 1 assets and things like that. But what I'm saying is there are, for those sites, the PBN sites that I'm building, again, that's to be able to sell like one-off link packs as opposed to selling a subscription service, which is what my main link building business is a subscription service. But I wanted to be able to provide like packages of like one-off purchases and things like that. So I started building a PBN network that is in, specifically for home service contractors, the legal industry, and also health industry. And also I'm working on another one now I'm not going to get into that. Anyway, point that I'm trying to make is there is Damon Nelson has what's called booster pages. I think it's called boosterpages.net. I use that for I think it's .net. Yeah. I use this to take the RSS feeds from those sites, the PBN sites that I'm building. Those are blog sites. Okay. I take those RSS feeds and I add them to here. And because he's got topical categories in booster pages, and all you have to do is add an RSS feed and it will automatically build backlinks to any new post that it detects in the RSS feed. So it's 100% automated. Does that make sense? And I like booster pages because he has topical categories that you have to select the appropriate topical category for the content. So by just submitting an RSS feed, and then I select the appropriate category, and since the PBN sites that I'm building are 100% keyword clustered sites, meaning the entire site and all of the posts on the site are about one very specific topic. That's precisely how I'm building them. Now I can take the RSS feed and select the appropriate category here. And every single time a post is published on that blog site, it's going to be in the same category. So it's going to get automatic backlinks in the appropriate category. I like booster pages for that. I actually have 2 accounts for this, one for my link building business and then one for my own projects, like my PBN sites, for example. And tree clients, tree service contractors and stuff. I also use this to generate a Google Business RSS feed. Well, I submit an RSS feed from Google Business websites with RSS.app. If you guys are not familiar with this, RSS.app, this service right here, you can create RSS feeds from Google Business profiles. So the Google Business website. So every time that you publish a Google Business post, it will add another link to the RSS feed. So I take the RSS feeds, I create RSS feeds from Google Business profiles for all of my clients, and then I add those to booster pages in the appropriate category so that every time a Google Business post is published, it automatically gets backlinks in a topically relevant category. Does that make sense? Then I also do that with Press Advantage. For Press Advantage organization pages, you get an RSS feed. And since we do a lot of press release stuff, every time a press release is published, I submit the I take the organization page RSS feed and submit that to booster pages so that every time a press release is published, it will get automatic backlinks built to it in the appropriate category, right? Again, it's all about topical relevance. That's why I really like booster pages for that. Now, these sites are not particularly strong yet. They will probably get stronger over time. This is a relatively new service that Damon launched, but I see it as kind of an indexing thing. It helps with indexing. And I have started to see on some of my PBN sites in my Majestic backlink profile, like in analyzing the backlink profile of my PBN sites, since I just mentioned that I've been taking the RSS feeds and submitting them in booster pages, I'm starting to see some of those links picked up and showing in Majestic. They don't have any trust flow values, but they're still picking up as backlinks. And I'm assuming over time that these the sites in the network here will become stronger, and that's what I'm hoping for. Okay, so anyway, this is my favorite kind of automated way to build links to like PBN sites, Google Business websites, and Press Advantage organization pages. I would not put my money site RSS feeds in here, just because I'm very particular about the kind of links I built to the money site now, which are only 100% topically relevant with like high trust flow values or trust flow 10 plus. But in the appropriate topical trust flow category. And so I wouldn't do my money site with these. Some people may, that's fine. Do whatever you're comfortable with. But I like to use these for, like I said, the kind of like the PBN sites, Press Advantage organization page, and Google Business websites. It's a great service. That's a good question. Okay, so that's what I would recommend. Also, well, no, I wouldn't do that because I could create a footprint. Never mind. Next question. Howdy, SM crew. I got a client that owns 2 websites I'm looking after and wants to close one down completely, including domain plus hosting. I advised him the domain he wants to get rid of has some .gov links and recommended 301ing to a second site in the exact same niche, but he doesn't care and wants to remove. How would you approach the situation? Yeah, that's dumb. Like, who's the SEO, him or you? You know what I mean? That's kind of the thing that sucks about client work, right? Sometimes they're just unreasonable and doesn't make any sense. Like, you're trying to advise them that, you know, they can redirect the old domain to the other site that he wants to keep, and he'll benefit from that. Why the hell wouldn't he keep it? And so how would you go approach a situation? Is it unethical for me to grab it? No, not at all. If he's going to let the domain drop, pick it up. Anybody in the world can pick it up if he's going to let it expire. So I'd grab it in a heartbeat, right? Especially if he's paying you to do SEO and he's like, no, I don't want to do it. Then just allow it to drop and pick it up, or renew it in his account and push it into your account, right? You can do that, right? I don't like with Namecheap, it's super easy. With Namecheap, if you have domains in one account and then you want to push it into another account, there's no fee for that or anything else. It's a very simple push into another account. And it's probably like that with all registrars. So wherever he's got that domain registered, set up an account for you on that same registrar and then push it into your account, you know, and then when it's up for renewal, you'll still have to pay the renewal fee, but you can usually push a domain into another account in the same registrar without it costing anything. It's not the same as transferring from one registrar to another, which then you have to pay a transfer fee, and then you have to pay the renewal fee too when it's up for renewal. So what I would do is push that domain into my own account on the same registrar right before it expires. Since he took the site down already and he wants to let it expire, I would push it into my account. And then when it's up for renewal, you just pay the renewal fee. And then I would because whatever the cost, if it's just a standard top level domain, it's, you know, about $15, right? To renew for a year. So in my opinion, if he's hiring me on a monthly retainer to do SEO, I'll take $15 out of his retainer to pay for that domain that I'm going to redirect to his site, whether he liked it or not, because what the hell does he know? You know what I mean? And if it's going to benefit, if it's in the same niche, why not 301 redirect that to the site that he wants to keep? If he doesn't want the domain, fine, you'll pay for it using his retainer money anyways, and just redirect it to his site. There's nothing unethical about that. It just amazes me that, you know, a client would, you know, it's like telling the heart surgeon not like, you know, well, I don't want you to put that other stint in, you know, I just don't want you to do it. You know what I mean? Like, you're the professional. So if, you know, he's ignoring your advice, then it's not unethical at all. Anybody could pick up that domain. So I would secure it or make sure that it stays secured. And I would use his money from your, you know, whatever retainer he's paying to pay for that, to renew that domain, even if it was in my own account. And then I would redirect it anyways. How's he going to know? Right? Unless he's analyzing backlinks and everything else. And if that's the case, why has he hired you anyways, if he's an SEO, right? So absolutely not. That's not unethical at all. I would certainly do that in a heartbeat. And it's just stupid. But you have to, I mean, sometimes like clients are unreasonable and you got to do what they want you to do. But, you know, work around it is what I'm saying. I was thinking of putting up a generic HTML site on there as a demo site and then link to my site. And at the top of the page, link to a Google SERP page for his brand. Yeah, I mean, there's a number of things you could do. A redirect. You could build that site out with a simple HTML page. That's what we do most of. We don't do a lot of redirects. We do redirects at tier 2 sometimes to like a tier 1 asset, but we don't do redirects direct to the money site. I don't like to do that. Too many redirects raises a red flag. I'd prefer to just build a page on the domain instead of doing a redirect. It's safer that way. But redirects to tier 1 assets is okay. But you know, if it's in the exact same topical category, and then there's, you know, you could do a redirect, just don't do too many of them is what I'm saying. All right. How are you using brightlocal in your agency to help get better results for clients? I don't. I use brightlocal for tracking. That's it. I use brightlocal for tracking and reporting. I don't use it to get better results, but what gets measured gets improved, right? So by measuring various parts of the local project, which I do organic rank tracking, local search grid tracking, and then reputation monitoring. Those are kind of the main 3 things that I do for my clients. Well, for my agency clients. For my link building clients, we don't give a damn about reputation. It's not our place for link building, but we do measure my link building clients. We do measure organic rank tracking and local search grid tracking because it's a local link building service. But for my agency clients, we also monitor reviews. And just by monitoring, you know, what gets monitored or what gets measured gets improved, right? So we use it just for tracking and reporting. Okay. Hey guys, how would you suggest powering up a domain used for a URL shortener? The shortener is used for sharing marketing of the money site, as well as creating short links for drive stack assets and other branded and non-branded URLs. Looking for something simple that can be applied every month to gradually make it a nice, strong domain to pass loads of juice. Well, again, you know, powering up a domain just to power it up like for traditional metrics, there is some benefit to that because I've seen it happen with like MGYB's link shortener. I've done it with for the last 2 years. I've been like I have tchq.link, which stands for treecarehq.link. That's one of my, and for semantic mastery, we've got smshort.link. So I've created some of my own branded shorteners that I use over and over and over again. But the idea is like, guys, I'm never going to stop saying this. At least I can't ever foresee stopping preaching about topical relevance. So if you're going to create a link shortener, like again, for TreeCareHQ, I have tchq.link, which is a tree shortener that I use for all tree service, like my tree service clients and stuff. So it's remains relevant. Like I don't use that like SM short link. It's just for, it's not really the same, but like I would create a link shortener for each kind of like topical category or business category that you have clients in, for example, so that you can kind of keep if you're going to be building links to your link shortener just to power it up, I would want to do it with relevant topical categories. Does that make sense? So that in other words, every time, like for TreeCareHQ, if I was to now I have not intentionally built just topically relevant links to that, but that is a good strategy is what I'm saying, is to, that if you keep everything kind of relevant at a topical level, then it's going to have a better effect than just pure metrics, trying to manipulate metrics. Like I said, there is still some benefit to doing that, but that's just not something that I care about. So I generally am going to stick with just topically relevant stuff, which I use Pretty Links WordPress plugin to create, again, like I just .link domains like smshort.link. That's all it is. It's a WordPress install with Pretty Links, the WordPress plugin that we use to create pretty redirect links, right? Branded redirect links. And that's what I do for tchq.link. Same thing. It's just treecarehq.link. Well, it's shortened tchq.link. And I use Pretty Links on that. So that's what I recommend doing. And also a lot of my clients, not some of my clients, I will also install Pretty Links on their site and then, create redirects for their projects with their own domain. Okay. Anyway, that's what I do. As far like if you just want to push metrics into that, then you can spam a redirect domain. But I don't like to do that. I don't like to use bulk spam links for anything anymore because everything that I do on link building side of things now is all about topical relevance. So we build links basically manually. We don't really do any automated link building stuff except for this. It's the only thing we do. And that's, again, I like this because it's got topical categories. So that's the only kind of automated link building stuff that we do. Everything else that I do is really a manual link building method. But I've got VAs that do all of that, right? So it's not really me building them. Anyway, next one. How would you approach link building in SEO for a crazy competitive niche like casino or CBD oil? Would you use drive stacks or just go for high-end guest posts? See question 1 about guest posts, right? See my reply about my answer to question 1 about guest posts. Drive stacks, yeah, absolutely. That's still an integral part of what I do. There's no question about that. So drive stacks, yes. I'm always going to say yes about that because that helps to establish the entity and all that other stuff. But I would do topically relevant links. In fact, I don't do any casino things, and I don't care to do that. But I've recently got interested in the cannabis industry for SEO because there's a lot of freaking money in that industry. And it's one of those taboo type of industries that a lot of other SEO like providers won't touch. So there's a lot of opportunity in that industry. CBD oil would be kind of part of that as well. Stay tuned because very shortly I'm going to have the ability. I'm working on some cannabis links right now, like link source to be able to provide links for cannabis companies and dispensaries and things like that. And very, very soon I'll be able to, this is not intended to be a pitch, guys, but I recently added my service for one-off link purchase to Vetted, which is Vasco's service. Some of you guys know who I'm talking about. Anyways, on Vetted with 3 T's, vetted.com, I've got super niche relevant links for local SEO. These are for like one-off links, not subscription-based, like what my main semantic links business is. And right now I have the ability for for home service type contractors with these topical trust flow categories, also in the legal industry, also in the health industry. And probably in about the next 2 or 3 weeks, I will also be adding in here cannabis links for people for businesses in the cannabis industry. I'm working on a network for that right now. There's a lot of opportunity in that industry, guys. There's a freaking ton of money in it too. So anyway, for you specifically who was asking about this, bookmark that URL, vetted.com, whatever, go there and find me and come back. I'll let you know when the cannabis links are available. That'll be probably another 2 to 3 weeks. Okay. I'm working on that network as we speak. Padre says, do you still recommend WPX for WordPress hosting? Yes, I do. WPX is my favorite WordPress host, man. Terry Kyle owns that, which Terry Kyle's a legend in the industry. Those have been around for a minute know who I'm talking about. And he runs that, and it is by far the best WordPress host I've used. The support is phenomenal over there. Like, I've never waited more than 30 seconds before on live chat at any time of day or night. And they're there. Like, their support is absolutely amazing. Never had a problem with WPX. It's my favorite WordPress host. So there you go. Carson says, what 2.0s have you found are the best tier 2 linking URLs? You mentioned WordPress and Blogger. Any others? Yeah, I mean, so you got to be careful with Blogger though. Blogger, I only like to use branded bloggers. So like, again, I like to use, so that's a tier 1 asset. A branded blogger would be a tier 1 asset. And then, so a branded blogger where you're publishing unique content can be a very powerful, because it's a Google property, can be a very powerful link if you're powering up the blogger site, right? So that requires tier 2 links. And again, topically relevant links is what I'm going to suggest. You can get away with spamming a blogger blog because it's Google. You can hammer it with like kitchen sink spam. But I'm going to recommend topically relevant links, especially to a branded blogger. WordPress has always been a good one, but there's a number of them. Jimdo, Strikingly. So, all the Web 2.0 sites are good for, kind of like building tier 2. But the thing is, again, guys, I'm just going to keep saying this because I don't build links unless they're topically relevant. Like, I don't build links just for the sake of link building. So I don't do a lot of Web 2 links anymore, except for the branded Web 2 network, which then we power up with topically relevant links at tier 2. Does that make sense? So again, it's like I stopped buying building links just to build links. Like, so I don't do Web 2 link packages anymore and things like that. I just don't do it. It doesn't seem to really affect much. Now, I'm not saying that you can't still get results that way, guys. I know people that they brute force link spam and you can still get results that way. I'm not saying that doesn't work. I'm just saying I don't want to do that. I prefer to build much better, higher quality links that don't have to be replaced in 6 months because the account got terminated. They're going to produce effect long into the future. They're topically relevant. So there's no reason that they're going to be devalued, right? Web 2.0 links, I don't see the value in those unless you're doing a massive amount of them. Does that make sense? Because you need bulk spam for that to work. But if you're going to be using Web 2 links, which makes sense for buffer sites and things like that. But what I do is when I would, again, I like to do branded Web 2s and then power those up with topically relevant links, tier 2 links. The same kind of method that I've been talking about today. Okay. But, if you wanted to do that, like the best provider, and I can grab stand by just 1 minute. I'm going to share this with you guys. I know we're almost out of time. Just give me a minute. So this is a spreadsheet that I've shared before with link providers that I've used from Legit. Actually, I'm not going to share the whole spreadsheet because there's a lot of stuff on there I just don't recommend anymore. But there is Raz SEO is his name on Legit. He does a really good Web 2.0 service. Here it is here. I'm going to grab this link, come back over here and paste this in. So this guy does a phenomenal job at building Web 2.0, branded Web 2.0 networks right here. I'll share the link with you in a minute, but this dude's on Legit. His name is SEO Raz. Rubel Raz is his real name. Anyways, he does a phenomenal job with these Web 2.0 networks, and they're very inexpensive. In fact, the first time he sent me a network, I bought a branded network from him. I sent him a screencast recording after I got the delivery and was just like, hey, dude, these are beautiful. However, they're they'll be more powerful if you interlink them together, especially when they're branded. And he was like, okay, I'm going to start doing that. And ever since then, the networks are now interlinked when they're branded. So this guy's really good. I highly recommend him. Tell him that I sent you if you end up trying his services. Okay. I know we're just about done, guys. Just give me 1 second. So if you're going to be doing Web2 networks, check him out because he does a really, really good job at optimizing these, does a beautiful job at building these out and then interlinking them so that they become a branded network and they're strong. Okay, so Web 2.0 SEO RAS right there. All right. Let's see. Hi, Bradley and the guys. Any tips on getting cloud links indexed? It seems a bit tricky to get them indexed even with optimized content. Yeah. Traffic signals also. So if you send traffic like CTR manipulation traffic to them, that will help them to get indexed. Also, just use Index Me Now. I'm not having any trouble getting them indexed. It's expensive, but it's worth it, in my opinion, because it works. So if we go here, click on English, because it's a French company, but it's super expensive. So like I buy $1,000 at a time so that I'm only paying 49 cents per index, per link index. And if it doesn't index in 10 days, they refund the credit. But this is what I use for cloud pages and also for my rebuilds. This is what I use, but I buy them $1,000 at a time, so that I'm only paying 49 cents. Otherwise, if you're paying 40, if you're doing the starter pack, it's 82 cents per link. So it's expensive, but that's why I don't do the bulk cloud stack page builds. I mean, I could, I don't, because I like to build cloud pages and empower them up with rebuilds, with topically relevant rebuilds. And so I will submit my rebuilds and also cloud pages into Index Me Now. And I haven't had any trouble getting them indexed. Sometimes it takes a little longer than others, but I don't really have any trouble getting them indexed. That's the best service I know of for that. All right, one last question, I think. Yeah. So thank you, Adam, for posting that, by the way. From an off-page point of view, what would you say are the most important factors when it comes to ranking Google business profiles? From an off-page point of view, topically relevant links, locally relevant links, citations still have a bit of an effect. And that's pretty much it. And then traffic signals, right? Engagement signals. Absolutely engagement signals. That's an off-page thing, right? So not just CTR, but CTR is part of it. So click-through rate manipulation signals is part of it, but there's also specifically maps manipulation signals or maps engagement signals. Stay tuned. Semantic Mastery is going to have something about that.
Coming full circle to the very beginning of this.
But topically relevant links, locally relevant or geographically relevant links, and engagement citations to a lesser degree, they still have an effect when done right. And then engagement signals. Those are the four main things that I would say for off-page point of view for local ranking. All right, that's it.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. See you guys next week.
Have a
Thanks,
good one.
Adam.